The meaning of your eye color will change your entire life. Carl Jung. Have you ever wondered why your eyes are the color they are? Most people think of it as nothing more than genetics, something passed down from their parents. But Carl Jung believed that nothing about the body is random. To him, even eye color could hold a deeper meaning, a reflection of your inner world, your temperament, and the archetype you quietly carry through life. Your eyes, their hue, their depth, the way they reflect light, may be more than just biology. They could be mirrors of the unconscious, carrying subtle clues about who you truly are. Jung's work on archetypes and the collective unconscious opens the possibility that your eyes are part of a larger pattern, a spiritual signature woven into your very being. Blue, green, hazel, brown, each shade may carry its own psychological tone, its own energy and story. Looking into your eyes may reveal more than what others see on the surface. It may show what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. From childhood, we are taught to look outward. We learn to notice appearances, to judge how things look, how people behave, and how we should fit in. But we rarely pause to ask, what is it that looks out from within us? What is the quality behind our gaze? And what does that gaze reveal about who we are? Jung often reminded us that the surface is never just the surface. Even our bodies are shaped by the hidden architecture of the unconscious, an unseen network of images, instincts, and energies that he called archetypes. These archetypes are not just ideas, but living patterns. They shape how we love, fear, grow, and even sabotage ourselves. They appear in dreams, in myths, in recurring life events. And Jung believed they could also appear in the body, in posture, expression, and most of all, in the eyes. If the body is a canvas for the soul, then the eyes are one of its most striking works of art. It's why we instinctively say the eyes are the windows to the soul. A single glance can make us feel exposed, seen, or understood without a word. Something ancient moves through the gaze, something shared by all of humanity, something that belongs to more than just one lifetime. Across cultures, eyes have always been symbols of power, truth, divinity, and mystery. The all-seeing eye, the third eye, the eye of Horus. They are portals between people, between worlds, between the conscious and the unconscious. So perhaps your own eyes, their color and depth, are not random at all. Perhaps they're symbolic, carrying messages from within. This is not about fortune-telling or stereotypes. It is not about saying that everyone with green eyes is the same, or that brown eyes mean one thing for all. It is about asking a different question. What inner pattern might your eyes be reflecting? Jung saw the body and psyche as one, not separate. The body was never just a shell to him, but a living expression of the soul. That is why he studied not only dreams but also physical symptoms, slips of the tongue, even astrology. For Jung, nothing about our appearance is meaningless, especially when it repeats across families and generations. When you ask, why do I have these eyes? You are also asking, what am I here to see? And what truth do my eyes carry within them? In this way, your eyes become an invitation, not to be defined by others, but to discover for yourself what energy flows through you. They may be more than just a color. They may be part of the language your soul chose to express itself, a silent symbol that has been speaking all along. Perfect. Let's make it fully comprehensive, weaving everything into one continuous storytelling flow, rich but still clear, like a long Jungian narrative. I'll keep the depth, symbolism, and poetic tone while avoiding headings or textbook-like breaks. Before we even begin to look at eye colors, we have to remember that color itself has always carried symbolic meaning. Since ancient times, every culture has associated colors with emotions, energies, and hidden truths. Blue calls to mind clarity, coolness, depth, longing, and spirituality. Brown speaks of the earth, of grounding, nurturing, and stability. Green carries the vitality of growth, the promise of change, and the energy of transformation. Gray holds mystery, neutrality, and introspection. Hazel reflects complexity, a mix of dualities, a sign of multiplicity. And black or very dark eyes suggest depth, intensity, shadow, and power. These aren't strict definitions. They are resonances, vibrations, archetypal tones, much like the seasons or the phases of the moon. Each color stirs something ancient in us, because each one is tied to the symbolic fields that run beneath human life. If your eye color aligns with one of these tones, it may be a sign that you carry that vibration within your psyche. Not as a label, not as a rule, but as a subtle imprint. Jung often reminded us that we are never one thing. We are multitudes, woven from many threads. Yet within that complexity, certain archetypal themes tend to dominate, shaping how we move through life, how we think, how we love, how we create, how we suffer. These themes don't just appear in our choices or dreams. They sometimes show themselves in the way we look, the way others perceive us, even in something as subtle as the color of our eyes. So when you next stand before a mirror, don't only ask, "Do my eyes look tired today?" Or, "Are they shining?" Instead, ask, what wants to speak through them? What is this gaze carrying? Do they feel sharp and piercing, or soft and open? Curious or guarded? Do they seem to reveal something, or to protect a secret? That sensation, that quality, is often more important than the color itself. Because no two blues are identical, no two browns the same. Some are gentle, others commanding. Some feel like water, others like stone. What matters most is what it feels like when you meet your own gaze, because that is where the symbolic power lies. This is how Jung approached symbols. He never reduced people to stereotypes. He believed symbols are alive, and that the unconscious expresses itself through them. The body, for Jung, was not just flesh, but an expression of the soul's landscape. The way we move, the illnesses we develop, the slips of the tongue we make, the dreams we dream, even the features of our face, all of these were ways the unconscious spoke. He would have said that eye color is not just a genetic accident. It may be part of your symbolic language, part of the archetypal story you carry into the world. So the question is not, what does my eye color mean? But rather, what does my gaze reveal about me? What story is being told through these eyes? Because the eyes are more than organs of sight. They are symbols. They are why we say they are the windows to the soul. A single glance can pierce us, expose us, calm us, or even change us. Across the world, myths and traditions have always held the eyes as sacred. The all-seeing eye of wisdom, the evil eye of danger, the third eye of vision, the eye of Horus as protection. Eyes are portals between people, between worlds, between the conscious and the unconscious. With this in mind, your eyes, their color, their depth, their way of shining, become a mystery worth exploring. Not as destiny, not as fortune-telling, but as a symbolic mirror. Perhaps blue eyes hint at the soul of the seeker, one who longs for truth beyond the surface. Perhaps brown eyes carry the energy of the guardian, grounded and loyal, steady as the earth. Perhaps green eyes belong to the alchemist, the one who transforms shadow into light. And yet, even within these archetypes, there are shadows. The seeker can become lost, forever searching but never arriving. The guardian can suppress themselves in order to protect everyone else. The alchemist can become addicted to change, stirring chaos rather than finding peace. Each gaze carries light and shadow. Each is a story, unfolding in its own way. So when you look into your eyes, see them not as labels, but as invitations. They are clues to the energies moving through you, symbols of the archetypal themes that shape your journey. They are not telling you who you are. They are reminding you of what you carry, and perhaps of what you have always sensed but never named. Because in the end, your eyes are not just the way you look outward into the world. They are also the way the world begins to know you. They are the bridge between what is hidden inside and what is seen outside. And in that gaze, you might find not only a reflection of yourself, but also the quiet truth of your soul. Most people are familiar with the three common eye colors: blue, brown, and green. Each carries its own symbolic tone, a resonance with certain patterns of energy, emotion, and inner purpose. But not every gaze fits neatly into these categories. Some eyes shimmer between shades, refusing to belong to one color. Some shift like water depending on the light. and some are so dark they seem bottomless, as if you're staring into mystery itself. For Jung, that mystery mattered. He often reminded us that the unknown is where transformation begins. What we cannot fully define, we are forced to experience. And it is often in those undefined spaces, in the things that escape easy explanation, that the unconscious speaks most clearly. This is why eye colors outside the common three often carry some of the richest symbolic meaning. Hazel, gray, and black are not just rare variations. They are symbolic invitations, each reflecting a different archetypal pattern at work in the psyche. Hazel eyes, for example, are famously difficult to describe. Sometimes they appear brown, other times green. In certain light, they seem to hold flecks of gold, amber, or even gray. This mutability is not a flaw, it is their essence. Symbolically, hazel eyes resonate with the archetype of the shapeshifter, a figure that embodies paradox, adaptation, and the ability to reinvent. People with hazel eyes are often hard to categorize. At times they seem logical, grounded, and steady. At other times intuitive, dreamy, or even unpredictable. One moment they might feel emotionally solid, the next they might surprise you with wild imagination. But this is not instability. It is multiplicity. It reflects a psyche that holds many inner functions alive at once. Jung wrote about the persona, the social mask we wear to navigate life. He warned that the danger was not in having a persona, but in becoming trapped by it, confusing the mask for the true self. Hazel-eyed individuals often have a gift for seeing through personas, both their own and others. They recognize that people are not one thing but many things. They live with an awareness of layers, the surface role, the hidden truth, and the archetypal forces moving underneath. For them, identity is fluid, and that very fluidity becomes their strength. They can adapt, blend, transform, and shift between worlds, often helping others break free from roles that feel too rigid or false. If hazel eyes suggest adaptability, gray eyes bring a different energy altogether. Gray is a color of paradox, both light and dark, both presence and absence. Symbolically, gray resonates with neutrality, balance, and introspection. People with gray eyes often carry an aura of mystery, a quiet depth that draws others in without revealing too much at once. They may appear calm, detached, or impartial on the surface, but underneath there is often a rich world of reflection and thought. Gray-eyed individuals often act as observers, mediators, or guides. They don't rush to take sides, but instead search for the middle ground, the deeper truth hiding between opposites. This ability to hold contradictions without collapsing into extremes gives them a unique wisdom. But gray also carries a shadow. In its neutrality, it can become indecision, hesitation, or emotional distance. Gray-eyed individuals may struggle with feeling invisible, overlooked, or misunderstood. They may withdraw too far into their inner world, avoiding the intensity of feeling. Yet when they embrace their gift, their gaze becomes a mirror, not loud or demanding, but quietly revealing. They remind others of the value of stillness, patience, and seeing beyond black and white thinking. Then there are black eyes, or eyes so dark they appear black. Symbolically, they represent depth, power, and shadow. To look into very dark eyes is to feel pulled into something ancient, something vast, something unknowable. They often carry an intensity that can be both magnetic and intimidating. People with such eyes may embody the archetype of the shadow bearer or the keeper of hidden power. Their gaze can feel commanding, as if it sees more than you want to reveal. In Jungian terms, black eyes suggest a closeness to the unconscious itself, to the forces of instinct, raw energy, and archetypal depth. Those with such eyes often carry strong presences. They may evoke trust or fear, attraction or unease, depending on how they channel their inner power. Their journey is often about learning to balance intensity with responsibility, to use their depth not for control or secrecy, but for transformation. Taken together, hazel, gray, and black eyes remind us that not everything in life fits into clear categories. Some carry fluidity, some balance, some shadow. Each of these eye colors represents a different relationship with the unknown, the mutability of hazel, the neutrality of gray, the intensity of black. And perhaps that is why they feel so powerful symbolically. They draw us toward what cannot be easily named. So the next time you look into your own eyes, whether hazel, gray, black, or any shade in between, remember that what you see is not just color. It is a symbol, a mirror of your inner architecture, a clue to the archetypal forces shaping your story. And like all true symbols, it cannot be reduced to one meaning. It must be lived, experienced, and allowed to reveal itself over time. People with hazel eyes often sense when others are hiding behind masks. They have a way of seeing through appearances, which makes many people feel safe around them. Their gaze seems to say, "You don't have to pretend with me." And yet, hazel-eyed souls often struggle with their own identity. Because they can reflect so many roles, they sometimes lose track of who they are when no one else is around. They may adapt too much, changing colors like a chameleon to survive or to please others. This is the shadow side of the shapeshifter, becoming so fluid, so good at wearing masks that even they forget which one is real. At its worst, this can lead to manipulation, inconsistency, or confusion. But when hazel-eyed individuals learn to embrace all their different sides, they become bridges between worlds. They can understand many perspectives and help others break free from roles that feel too rigid. Their gift is not about pretending. It's about showing that many truths can live together in one soul and still choose love, presence, and growth. Gray eyes carry a very different energy. Meeting someone with truly gray eyes often feels like being studied, quietly and carefully. Gray is neutral, neither black nor white, and symbolically it represents balance, patience, and reflection. People with gray eyes often live as observers, standing at the edges, watching the patterns of life. They don't rush into the spotlight. They don't react quickly. Gray eyes often live as observers, standing at the edges, watching the patterns of life. They don't rush into the spotlight. They don't react quickly. Instead, they analyze and contemplate. Their minds are sharp, able to notice subtle connections and truths that others overlook. They may have a gift for philosophy, for questioning, for recognizing hidden patterns both outside in the world and inside themselves. But this gift also has its challenges. Seeing too much can lead to overthinking, detachment, or doubt. Gray-eyed individuals may feel distant from others, unsure where they belong, or even cynical. Jung warned that a life ruled only by thought becomes unbalanced. Thinking must be joined with feeling, intuition, and sensation. Without this balance, the observer risks becoming isolated. Yet when gray-eyed people soften into their wisdom and share it, they often become guides. They don't demand authority, but others naturally listen because their clarity feels rare. Their quiet insight helps others find peace, where once there was only conflict. Then there are eyes so dark they appear black, so deep you can't tell where the iris ends and the pupil begins. No eye is truly black. Most are very dark brown, sometimes showing hidden shades in bright light. But symbolically, black eyes represent depth, mystery, and shadow. They embody the unknown, not as something evil, but as something powerful and untouched. People with very dark eyes often give off an intensity that others feel before they even notice it. Their presence can feel ancient, magnetic, private, or intimidating. This is because dark-eyed souls often carry the archetype of the mystery keeper, someone who holds hidden power. They may not be aware of it, but their energy stirs strong reactions in others. People may project fears, desires, or judgments onto them, and this can leave them feeling misunderstood or misjudged. Their inner life tends to be intense, even if they appear calm. They absorb more than they express, carrying a depth of emotion and instinct that is rarely shown on the surface. The danger for these individuals lies in suppressing too much, keeping the darkness locked inside without letting the light in. Their path is to understand that depth is not the same as darkness. What is hidden is not bad, only waiting to be brought into awareness. When they learn to trust their depth and share it, they become anchors for transformation. They don't shine like stars. Instead, they hold steady like the earth itself, grounding others through storms. Their gift is not in dazzling brightness, but in offering strength, depth, and safety for others to face their own shadows. After exploring these colors, hazel, gray, black, along with blue, brown, and green, one truth becomes clear. What matters most is not the color of the eyes, but the gaze itself. The gaze is active. It carries history, emotion, pain, longing, curiosity, wisdom. It shows what we've been through and what we're becoming. Jung taught that the unconscious does not disappear just because we ignore it. Instead, it appears in the way we look at others, in the judgments we make, in the people we're drawn to or avoid without knowing why. The eyes may be colored by biology, but the gaze is shaped by experience. It is through the gaze that the soul speaks. A harsh, judgmental look often reflects an inner world still at war with itself. A soft, steady gaze usually belongs to someone who has made peace with their contradictions. Some people's eyes seem vast and calm because they've endured suffering and come through it transformed. Their presence is enough to speak for them. In the end, Jung reminds us that we can only see in others what we have already seen in ourselves. The gaze becomes a mirror, not just of who others are, but of what we are ready or not ready to face within. This is why the eyes truly are windows to the soul. They reveal the archetypes moving through us, the shadows we carry, and the light we are still learning to embody. Sometimes it's not what a person is doing that affects us, but the energy behind their gaze. Someone with warm, earthy eyes may stir longing in us because they remind us of the comfort or safety we never fully received. Someone whose eyes shift in color may leave us unsettled because they reflect the contradictions we carry inside. In this way, eye color and gaze become keys that unlock hidden parts of ourselves. When we ask, "What do I feel when this person looks at me? What do I feel when I look back at them?" we step into symbolic territory. Jung would say that in those moments, we are meeting the unconscious. And if we can stay with that discomfort instead of turning away, something inside begins to change. This is why so many spiritual traditions treat the eyes as sacred. In some cultures, a teacher passes wisdom not through words but through a silent gaze. In others, looking into a mirror is a way to face the deeper self, or even summon hidden aspects of the soul. Practices like silent eye gazing between two people can dissolve masks and stir emotions so deep they often bring tears, without a single word being spoken.
Why?
Because the gaze bypasses language. It speaks soul to soul. It goes past the ego and reaches the archetype within. When we understand this, our focus shifts. We stop worrying about how others see us and instead ask, what part of me is looking out? Am I looking through the eyes of my wounded child, still craving love? Through the abandoned lover, searching for belonging? Through the perfectionist trying to control? Through the anxious critic, ready to judge? Or through the healed self, the adult who has faced their shadows and no longer needs to hide? When the archetype behind our gaze changes, our entire life changes. This is where Jung's idea of the wounded healer becomes important. A wounded healer is someone who has suffered deeply, but instead of being destroyed by their pain, they learn to use it to help others. Their gaze carries empathy instead of pity, strength without coldness, compassion without superiority. Many people with striking or unusual eyes embody this energy. Others may comment on their eyes, not realizing what they're sensing is not the color, but the soul behind them, a soul that has walked through darkness and returned carrying light. But the gaze is not only about expression. It is also about how we choose to see others. Do we look at people as threats, tools, competition, or distractions? Or do we see them as fellow souls, as mirrors, as stories still unfolding? Jung taught that to truly see someone, we must set aside our projections, the labels and judgments we cast onto them. We must hold them as symbols, shaped by forces we cannot fully see, just as we are. When we do this, our gaze becomes medicine. It heals, it softens, it connects. So pause for a moment. Think about how you look at others, at the world, at yourself. Is your gaze tense, full of fear or comparison? Or is it softening into curiosity and acceptance? You don't need rare eyes to hold wisdom. You don't need a special color to carry depth. The color is symbolic, but the gaze is transformational. The eyes themselves do not give you power. It is the consciousness behind them. This is what Jung wanted us to remember. Behind every gaze is a myth trying to unfold, a shadow wanting to be seen, a light waiting to return. You were given your eyes not only to observe life, but to awaken to it. Your gaze has been shaping every connection, every silence, every moment of growth more than you may realize. Jung believed that once we become conscious of our patterns, we gain the freedom to change them. By looking more deeply into your own eyes, not just as organs of sight but as symbols of the soul, you've already begun this work. Because once the soul begins to truly see itself, it never stops. Your eyes do not just look at the world. They reveal the one who is looking.